Everybody to the Founder Academy podcast. This is one of our first mini podcasts that we're going to be having. And today I got Bob Jones, our VP of Sales, and we're going to be actually talking about his trip to Denver in one of the startup conventions, and we're going to be talking about what were the successes he saw from startups, what did they do wrong, what were the failures, what the investors are looking for. We're just talking everything startup. So Bob, thanks for making the time.
Thank you, Hayes.
All right, so tell me about your trip. How was Denver?
You know what, Denver was really busy. As soon as we got down there, like the ecosystem of all the startups that are there, a lot of people are coming in from other towns like San Francisco, Lower California, everything like that. It's a very vibrant, buzzing city right now. I would say it's on the lines of like what Austin is today, but it's just on the way, like on the works to be in.
But it's more towards Boulder, right? Boulder is the city that's actually tech heavy.
So yeah, for the tech side of things, yeah, Boulder is the place to be for tech.
And just so everybody knows, Denver is one of those cities that's growing in terms of tech. And they actually had, 14 unicorns
There was 14 unicorns this year already.
This year alone.
Yeah.
So it's massive, right? So there's a massive ecosystem being built around Denver, and that's why we're decided to do the first podcast with Denver, because it was a surprise to all of us of how much they've done in terms of volume.
Yes.
So that's really cool. So what were the number one failures you saw? I mean, you and I know this, so Bob and I know, but just so the audience knows.
Yeah, no, it was really interesting. There was one night there, they had this big segment where they had 5 or 6 founders that were there, and like it was like their biggest mishaps and what kind of caused them to like just go under, basically. Yep. And the one thing that stood out for me, because we see it all the time with the clients that we talk to, is pivoting the company in too many ways. And when we say pivoting, it could be you have an idea, but you're branching out in multiple different areas, or you start to can't generalize your direct focus, let's say.
Yeah.
And that caused a lot of headaches for the companies, and really at the end of the day.
Well, and the thing is when you're pivoting, you're burning cash.
Yes.
Right? And when you lose that focus, one of my favorite podcasters, Dan Martell, he always talks about this, is one focus, one product, one everything.
Yeah.
Because realistically, as a startup, you don't have enough resources to pivot.
No.
You can pivot, but you got to pivot all of your focus.
Yeah, you got to kind of concentrate on the one.
Right?
Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely. Yeah.
So.
Well, and then as we were talking like that, I mean, that's another thing where the other side of it, a lot of people that we were talking to, so the one guy that was saying like, I actually went in one direction, but we're talking about cash flow and everything like that. It was bootstrapping.
Yeah.
Denver, all those individuals, they don't get the big investments like Silicon Valley and everything like that.
By the way, in my opinion, Silicon Valley is an abnormal place, and that's the problem, right? The news today, you hear about Silicon Valley, a person went there and they raised $1 million, and it's just not reality anywhere else.
Well, I mean, like I did go to San Francisco before this and everything, and I remember talking to a couple of people that have the same idea as the guy next door.
And it's always something to do with cryptocurrency or
AI, and don't get me started with AI. I don't want to talk about that right now because I've learned a lot about AI.
So we're actually going to be doing a live with Wish Bakshi. He's one of our directors.
Yes, he is.
And he's actually going to be on this live with us, and we're going to be talking about AI.
Okay.
And he has a lot to say about AI and startups.
I would like to get that all sorted out here and stuff. But no, that was a big thing for them is you needed $1.5 million to start. So if you kind of could play with cash flow and stuff and do other areas, you're going to survive.
And to be honest, in Silicon Valley, you need that $1.5 million valuation, because good luck getting a developer to do anything for less than $200K. You know what I mean? And like that's just an employee.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Well, and I mean now that we're talking about just investment for tech and stuff for $200,000, $300,000, Denver. That's kind of where a lot of these startups were kind of talking with me, and I was engaging with them, and it was just kind of it baffled me. I mean, when I was talking to them, and they're like, "Yeah, we're getting MVPs. It's going to cost $250,000, maybe $300,000," and then I was sitting there chatting with them. I was like, flag in my head, right? Because back talking with a bunch of people in Austin, they honestly were burning through $400,000-$500,000 before even getting an MVP product.
That's right.
And what did they actually get delivered to them? A very limited, feature-rich kind of.
And that's the thing you and I see all the time, right? Is the fact that people come in, they have a business idea, they have a really great business idea, but they don't have the software experience. And everyone, for some reason, assumes software, if I give it to a developer, they know what to do with it, right?
Well, and I mean, you would hope that that's the case.
You would hope,
I mean, it's no different than being like me, right? Like, take me back 5-6 years ago when I know I can use software, but I have no idea about software development,
that's right?
So I'd be classified as that non-technical founder of a company and that. And there's so many of them out there. They have the greatest ideas in the world, but they're not even they don't even have the right direction or understanding what they're going to need out of this. They don't understand what a good design is going to be for the software. The UX of it, because they just have the idea. They don't understand like what is that the process is actually going to take to
Yeah.
actually be successful in building out the technology.
And a lot of successful founders that we've seen, and that's why we started the Founders Academy course, is the fact that once you have a non-technical founder that has a really good grasp of how software development is and what the product even should be, and having a bigger picture of it, it really helps the development team be able to implement that idea.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, no, and I agree with you. And that's why I know a couple other development companies that are down there doing traditional development and everything like that. They're struggling to even have the conversations with them because A, they don't have the cash flow. B,
right.
they have no understanding of what they want.
Bootstrap is everything.
And so bootstrap is big. So like one of these guys that had a big success story down there, he had bootstrapped his company for 8 years.
Yeah.
So I mean, he did stay with one channel,
Yeah.
right? Like this is my idea. I'm sticking with
Yeah.
it. Working out of the house, 8 years. All of a sudden, it kind of all clicked. They got the investment that they needed, and now that was one of the unicorns, right?
And they
So-
survived. They survived on bootstrapping.
bootstrapping,
Yeah.
right? But again, they didn't. They used whatever resources they had to actually get to that level. So for technology, they invested what they could and then utilized what they could.
That's the other thing Silicon Valley has done is taught founders, hey, when you start a company, go buy an office, go buy the MacBooks, and it's just kind of like if they almost feel almost demotivated when they
it's
don't
overwhelming.
raise the 500,000.
Yeah,
right?
it's overwhelming because if they need $500,000 and they only get $250,000, they think that's it, we're done.
Yeah, how do you survive?
And then they
right.
start to like.
And
change
that's
their
because they
focus.
put so much of their capital in the product rather than the actual marketing and sales, right?
Well, yeah, and you have to make sure it's like even throughout, right?
Yeah.
You can't just all of a sudden invest in one area of your business, right?
Especially with the tools that are available out there right
Well,
now.
in this day, right? You know, I mean, like technology is available much quicker and easier for you as well.
right.
Digital marketing, lots of contractors, everything in there. And what I liked about Denver the most is because of the ecosystem of the startups. It's not like Silicon Valley where it's kind of like I'm honing it, I'm going to only do this.
Yeah.
In Denver, is like, hey, let me help you out here. You know what I mean? I have a digital firm. I'm going to give you a little bit of a break. Maybe you can kind of give me some technology, or you know, what I mean, maybe an HR. Maybe you can find me some developers.
Mm-hmm.
They really wanted to work with one another down there, and I really thought that was great because not only bootstrapping, but you're bootstrapping with people and services.
And that's what I like about Austin too. Austin
Yes.
does that too, and they do a really good job of it. And frankly, one thing I really like about Austin is when you go to Austin, I would say 60% of the people are not from Austin. Actually, probably more.
No,
Actually, probably wrong about that.
Chicago, California
Chicago, yeah,
again.
exactly.
Even some people from Colorado are down. It's like everyone's kind of moving into the more central hubs here because
Correct,
it's cheaper to live.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I guess
Austin.
Austin's blown up. They're an anomaly. Like they've adjusted in like the last 5 years.
Yeah.
They've blown up. But again, not only just Austin, you have Houston, but Houston's more on the startup world for
That's right.
say like healthcare and stuff
That's right.
like that. And then Dallas, they have another one as well, and San Antonio's just starting
Mm-hmm.
too. So there's a lot going on in Texas for startups. But Colorado, again, I would say is kind of like Texas, but just 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So they're just starting to get into it, and then people are starting to have these conversations. And I mean, there's 150 companies down there in the 5 days that I was there, and we were
Yeah.
all like learning from one another for different seminars. What were the challenges that you had? Like you could just learn from a 16-year-old girl.
Yeah.
She had an idea for just like a card system, and then this other guy had one for like sneakers.
Yeah. So, all right. So to close, I mean, this was a great chat. Thank you, Bob.
Oh,
I
yeah,
appreciate
you know.
you. But I would love to recap. So let's recap. Let's recap. What's the first thing a founder shouldn't do? What's the first thing a founder should do? And what are investors looking for? And how should the founders approach investors, in your opinion, after what you saw in Denver?
Oh, so what they shouldn't do is pivot too much and spend all their money in different areas.
Focus.
Focus is
Focus is
key.
key, yeah.
If you want to succeed, bootstrapping's huge. You know what I mean? Utilize the resources you have to actually.
You don't need
get
to
out there.
spend 200, 300K, right?
No.
You can do a lot with 100,000.
Yeah, no, I agree. And what was the third one there?
What are investors looking for, and what should
Oh.
founders think about?
So
in terms of
investors, if you say if you're a tech company and you want to build out a software, they like to have a proven concept,
always
right? And
angel investors are so hard.
yeah,
these days,
because
yeah.
it de-risks their investment for
Yeah.
them, and that is critical for any investor to be coming in, especially right now because like it's kind of like the economy is not in the greatest period, so
Yeah.
they're not just forking out money like they used to.
By the way, proven idea, really that just means like a Series A or pre-Series A, which means that you've already gotten your MVP, the product is out on the market, and you've already done some sales. You've proven the product that people are willing to pay for. So that's what Bob means by proven market.
Yeah.
So, Bob, thank you so much. I appreciate your
Hey.
time. I know you don't like being in front of the camera always.
No, not
but-
always, but I mean, just having
You
a
love
conversation about an
conversations.
experience is
Yeah.
what I enjoy the most. So.
And everybody for listening, thank you so much. I appreciate it. We're going to be trying to push out more of these lives, and we're going to be launching our more full-fledged podcast. So stay tuned for that. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.